We also have the schedules out officially for next season. The Cup Series schedule, of course, some rumors have been put out, and it was leaked a day early from the guys over at The Athletic. NASCAR puts it out on Wednesday, and we got some big news across the board in all three series, starting, of course, with the events that affect the marquee Cup Series events. And I feel like the best place to start, something we already knew, but just made official, of course, with the schedule releases, that Homestead-Miami Speedway will once again be the finale race for all three series. I feel like there were some pluses and minuses about Phoenix, but especially with the way that Homestead races with the next-gen car, one of the better intermediate tracks, it makes for some extraordinarily exciting racing. I feel like Homestead definitely going to be better than Phoenix, not only for tradition's sake, but also for the auto racing's sake.
Oh, 100%, man. Homestead is such a classic NASCAR track. And look, Miami's a great market too. Like that is somewhere you want to be. It would be such an event for the week. And shout out to Phoenix, everything they've done to host that. Definitely had some thick pockets to get that done as well. But it seems like they've done a very, very good job. But I think moving to Homestead, not only will this create better racing, but I think it will just really appease the fans who, it just go on and on and on and on about how it's not a true winner anymore. So maybe this can help kind of lighten that load a little bit.
And what NASCAR is going to do, or at least what they're rumored to do, maybe they keep it at Homestead for the next 10 years and we'll see. But the finale race is going to supposedly be a rotation. Phoenix is going to be in that rotation. Homestead going to be in that rotation. People have speculated Las Vegas and tracks of that ilk going to be part of that rotation as well. And I really like that, because of course it was different with Homestead. I don't think we had a few of the modern playoff system at Homestead, but with Phoenix especially, and we've seen it, the last three champions were from Penske. Teams that could really nail Phoenix were probably going to win the title. So now that we rotated, you got to nail it every year. If you're going to get Phoenix, okay, good for Penske. If you're going to get Homestead, maybe good for Hendrick, who finished there 1-2. If you're going to get Vegas, you can throw things out for a lot of guys. I think that's a better way to do it. And it gives some of a neat feel, too. If NASCAR is going to try to be like other sports who rotate there, like the Super Bowl is in a fun new city every year, having a good rotation of cities, they're good rotation of racetracks, only going to make things more exciting for NASCAR.
Oh, completely agreed with you.
So Homestead, the big news for the end of the year, but lots of stuff happening in between. In the Chicago market, the Chicago Street Course not going to take place in 2026, but we will go back to Joliet, Illinois. The Chicagoland Speedway will host the Cup and Xfinity Series on July 4th weekend. Still some work to do at that track because it's kind of sat vacant since NASCAR's most recent race there in 2019, won by Alex Bowman. Maybe people can take away that Bowman wins at a place and bad things happen to the track now that it's coming back. Some renovations to be made of the suites there as well, but especially with how the next gen is running. We haven't seen the next gen at Chicagoland, but the way this track is set up is set for what should be an absolutely spectacular race for these current day Cup cars.
I'm excited. I think Chicagoland always got a bad rep. I mean, glad that, money is being invested to put it back together. I saw one of those videos. There's a gym who goes around and tries to get on the field or get into the stadiums, and they still got that thing on lock. They're doing a good job protecting it, but definitely looked a little rough last time I saw it. I was really interested here, Elliot. Maybe I just read the initial press release wrong, but I had a feeling, just because of the patriotism of it, I thought we were heading to San Diego for July 4th weekend, but I was expecting Chicagoland to potentially make a return, but was not expecting it to remain there in that same market that it has been. Do you think that's really the play here from NASCAR is, hey, it's worked here in Illinois for the past few years. Let's try to keep that in the mix?
Yeah, I do think that makes sense. And of course, with the San Diego races being on a naval base, they probably had to work a lot around that naval base. Hey, when can we host a race here? It's going to be in the middle of June, I think June 18th through the 20th. We'll see Craftsman Truck Series, O'Reilly Series, and the Cup Series race at Naval Base Coronado. Our guy Rod Villagomez is super excited for that still. But yeah, Chicagoland, like you said, it's been July 4th weekend at the street course. They don't do Daytona on July 4th weekend. If you were going to move it anywhere just to pick any track, Daytona, of course, is the tradition. But I feel like Chicagoland with, of course, I'm just realizing I put there, it's going to host an Xfinity race. It's, of course, will be an O'Reilly Series race. But thankfully, you guys understand what I mean. Just pick that up now. But yeah, that series putting on some great racing at the intermediates as well. And for the Cup Series, I mean, it's just going to be a barn burner. It's going to be real exciting. And some excitement thrown into the Monster Mile at Dover. They will host the All-Star race next year. Will take place in the middle of May there. They do lose their points date I think this is kind of a combination of our next news thing that we'll talk about. We want North Wilkesboro, also owned by SMI, to get a points race, but also they're billing it as marquee events happening in 2026 in the greater Philadelphia area. They're milking it with, okay, the NASCAR All-Star Race is going to be here, and then the World Cup, and then all this great stuff happening in the spring and summer 2026 in the greater Philly area. Dover, not too far from Philly. You might get some early beachgoers down there. I think this is back and forth for Dover. I definitely don't want them to lose their point state forever. It will be kind of neat to see the track have a marquee event, and hopefully it gets good attendance, good weather, and hopefully it's a good time and some good racing.
It's so bittersweet, right? It is so bittersweet because you and I grew up with Dover being one of the tracks closer to Pennsylvania, right? So it was one a lot of us went to. It's always had a points race. In fact, before not too long ago, I had 2 points races each summer. And I know a lot of people that I grew up with who they would attend not one, but both of those because, they might like that a little bit better than Pocono or Watkins Glen, some of the other ones up here in the Northeast. And so I'm sad they're losing a point race. Like how the heck does Martinsville still have 2? I think we were talking about this the other day, and it just comes down to ownership, right, of the track. So that's a total bummer. But man, I hope Dover puts on a show, and you can't go wrong out there. We got a chance last year to cover that race in person. It was a lovely weekend. We got to stay down in Bethany Beach there. Great pizza, great wings. What was that? Was that Grotto's? That's where we posted up. I think they had
Yep.
Yeah, the wings, pizza, we were posted up, pretty much had the whole bar to ourselves, Busch Light on draft. I was in heaven out there. So definitely on the bucket list to return at some point in time.
Yeah, I think one way or another, whether it's the dynamic duo you see here or a little solo trip, there might be some IBT representation at that Dover All-Star race. Mm-hmm. They lose their point state to give North Wilkesboro Speedway its first Cup Series points race since we have been alive. 1996, the most recent points race there, won by Jeff Gordon. To send that track out. Apparently 70% of the fans of the fan council, 80% of 18 to 34-year-olds, they wanted to see a points race at North Wilkesboro. I'm excited that it's made it all the way back. It's been so cool to see it go from a completely decrepit facility, which Dale Jr. and friends took a weed whacker to try and get at least scanned for iRacing, to coming all the way back and getting a points race now. This year's All-Star race was probably the best of the ones that we've seen there, but I'm a little worried that 400 laps, short track, next gen, it really could be a snoozer by the end of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like shout out to Dale Jr., the boys, for kind of starting the process here to bring this track back on the circuit. And it's been rowdy couple years down there for the All-Star race, but I almost wonder if it should have stayed there, right? Because I'm kind of the same variety where I think the heat races were fun. I think the All-Star Open worked pretty well there. But at the same time, this is a track for the most part where if you get out to a lead, you're setting sail, right? And I think we could see something similar where if Kyle Larson actually qualifies next year for this race, he puts himself on the front row and it's, hey, see you later. I'll see you at the stage breaks, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly I don't want to say a nightmare scenario, but that's almost the worst case, most boring scenario is that Larson laps all but the top 4. And maybe the stage racing saves him from winning the race by a whole lap. But this year's All-Star race, different tire, different rules and stuff like that. It was a little more exciting. So hopefully we see something more like that and not the snooze fest that we can see on the short tracks.
And Wilkes County deserves this, right? I mean, this is really the backyard of NASCAR where everything began with the bootleggers. So such a rich part of our history. So regardless of how it happens, and, our beloved Dover had to lose the points race, I'm really happy that it's here to stay and it wasn't just a 1 or 2 years thing. Hey, let's fix this up, see how it goes. And no, it's back, and it feels like it's back for good on the circuit, which means a lot to a lot of people in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. As unfortunate as it is for us currently based and growing up in the Northeast, NASCAR's roots are down south in the Southeast. This is really cool to see them come back and to earn it. Before we get into the lower series, some other cup changes. The overall changes, of course, San Diego and Chicagoland coming onto the schedule, replacing Mexico City and the Chicago Street Course. Both potentially going to be back in the future. I know NASCAR wants to get back to Mexico City, but being a World Cup year where Mexico is going to host some games, they didn't really have a date to make that work. In terms of date changes, Watkins Glen is moving to Mother's Day weekend. People are worried it's a little early in the year for that New York climate, but we'll see what happens. Phoenix is now the first race in the round of 8, at least as if we use the current playoff format. Ben Kennedy from NASCAR kind of left it ambiguous. So we're not locked into this yet, but it's probably going to be the same, honestly, in my opinion. Nothing set in stone. If it does stay the same again, Phoenix first race in the round of 8. New Hampshire moves out of the playoffs, of course, for Homestead coming back into it. Now, as we get to the lower series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, as the Xfinity Series will be called next year. No Portland, Mexico, or Chicago street course.
Wow.
So no Portland is unfortunate. They're heading back there in a couple weeks. The Pacific Northwest, completely unrepresented now among NASCAR's top 3 series. It'll be replaced, of course, by San Diego, Chicagoland, and a second Darlington race, which is exciting too. We know that those O'Reilly cars throw in a great show at the Lady in Black. With Homestead moving to the finale, the Kansas race, which normally would be in the fall playoffs there, will take place during the Spring Cup weekend rather than in the fall. Otherwise, the schedule is pretty much the same. A lot of companion Cup weekends. I think that there's only 1 or 2 standalone Xfinity races now, O'Reilly races. They are going back to Rockingham, both the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series, which is a plus. But you mentioned some of those standalone weekends were some real highlights for this series, and not having as many of them, definitely a little unfortunate.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I can understand why they don't want to go all the way out to Portland. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of financial sense for a lot of those teams. A lot of times we haven't even had the broadcast at the track. They've been back in Charlotte, so that's been unfortunate. So I understand it from a logistical standpoint, but it is disappointing for those fans up there in the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully they can make their way down to San Diego in the summer for the Cup and Xfinity weekend out there. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah. I mean, this is kind of what it is right now, and maybe this lends itself to what we were talking about earlier, and we see more Cup Series drivers actually doing some Xfinity Series races with them, competing on the same weekend more and more each and every week.
Very true. And those Pacific Northwest folk, and they can always hit Sonoma too, as that series still going to be ripping out there. I'm much more excited for some of these Truck Series schedule changes. The big highlight here is they are going to race on the streets of St. Petersburg as a companion weekend with IndyCar. That is one of 5 road courses on the Truck Series schedule. They'll race, of course, on San Diego's road course, and they do add a Dover point state. Both the O'Reilly and Truck Series races will be racing points races along with the All-Star race there in May. Those dates replace Las Vegas, kind of unfortunate. There's no more Spring Martinsville for the Truck Series and no Pocono for the Truck Series. That's unfortunate. They've been racing there since 2009, but ARCA are going to come back to Pocono, which is exciting for our typical weekend. In terms of dates being moved, Darlington has moved to the spring and Kansas moved to the fall for the Truck Series. Definitely some excitement here. 5 road courses feels like a heck of a lot for the Truck Series, but with the Cup Series having multiple road courses now, O'Reilly Series, lots of road courses, it does make sense that if you're going to use the Truck Series as a ladder to move up, you got to kind of be racing the same sort of tracks and only doing Coda or only doing Lime Rock, just not really cutting it anymore.
It's super interesting from a betting perspective too, that we're going to have 5 Truck Series races on road courses next season, Elliot, because who's the dominant Truck Series road course racer? I don't think we really have one. Like Corey Heim, definitely, but there's no certainty that he's going to be back next year in the Truck Series once again. So if he's gone, I'm sure you'll see some Connor Zilic here and there making his way down, but other than that, it feels wide open. So it'll be really fun from a gambling perspective to kind of find, who can master this niche in a truck. Super devastating to me, though, about Pocono. I always found the strategy that was laced within that race at the Tricky Triangle so much fun. Always a great treat to get to the track on Friday, be up there in the skybox and watching those trucks go around. So that'll be really, really disappointing. But other than that, very happy with what the Truck Series is doing. And shout out to St. Petersburg, man. That's one of my favorite IndyCar races. That's one of the times of year where I can really, dedicate myself to IndyCar handicapping and IndyCar watching. So going to be excited to see them down in St. Pete.
I'm really hoping that there are a couple open seats for some IndyCar guys to potentially hop in a truck and go beat contenders, have some fun. That would be a lot of fun to see, and those guys would most certainly be the favorites there. 5 road courses, though, you can almost call the Tricky Triangle sort of a road course type of strategy there for the trucks. Yeah. I understand. Of course, it's bittersweet for us to lose our races there, but, I mean, like St. Pete should be exciting. The trucks race pretty well at Dover. And overall, a very exciting schedule coming forth for the Truck Series, as well as across the board. Lots of fun things to watch for in 2026, and we'll be on it each and every week here on the Back Road.
That's what we do, baby. And don't you worry. We'll still have some Friday content, I'm sure, coming from Pocono next year for the ARCA race. We'll
Give
find
some love. Give some love to ARCA. I don't know if Frankie Muniz will be down there, but there's always good storylines in ARCA.
Oh yeah, dude. There's actually some really good young drivers down there. A couple women drivers are just tearing it up right now. So I'm sure we'll have coverage. We might have to dip into the offshore market to get some bets down, but I'm sure we'll be invested there as well. So that will be a treat. And yeah, man, make sure you guys are following along with us each and every week for NASCAR betting, NASCAR advice. We got you right here on the IBT Media YouTube channel.
No doubt about it. It'll be fun to watch next year. While we're talking ARCA, shout out to Brayton Laster, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's at the One Pizza Man on Twitter. Runs ARCA with Wayne Peterson Motorsports. They ran on the dirt on Sunday, and he finished P6, which was the first lead lap finish for Wayne Peterson Motorsports since 2018, and their best finish in quite some time. I don't have all the stats in front of me, but like I said, always great storylines in ARCA, as well as the top.
Let's go, Wayne P. Let's go, Wayne P.
Great work from the 06 team out there.